Hello, everybody. Welcome to a Lyceum evening coming to you from Paul Spiritualist Church down the south coast of the UK. My name's Lawry, I think then. My name's Lawry, and I will be chatting away tonight on things to do with spiritualism and spirituality. Very much led as well by what you wonderful people watching out there may join in and ask or say. So please don't be shy. That's better. So, what was the title of tonight? I was going to ask about do we, us people, do we hold back not only ourselves in our development, but do we also hold back what we can achieve with the other world? I was thinking, excuse the noise, we have a stray cat in the area who comes up on the window just to torment my cat. And he looks lovely. He's a smashing little fella. Anyway, we'll let them get on with it. Do we hold back the other world? Do we, when we are working as a evidential medium, for example, be that for a private sitting, for a demonstration, it's all kicking off on the window. Whatever. Do we tend to go to the other world asking, or just our mind focused on other things, on what we want from the sitting? So we want somebody who's going to be recognised. We want that evidence. We want, if anything, a message there. But in doing that, do we train our brains just to be looking for a very small segment of the pie? Do we need to maybe review what we do, how we do it, where we do it, why we do it, and what we, be more open to what the other world, because the other world's not just there to give lovely messages. All right. It's amazing. Everybody grasps the other world in their own unique individual way. And quite often you come across this energy of they're just sat around twiddling their thumbs, waiting for a medium to come and knocking so they can come back and talk to somebody, and that's it, and all job done. Hello, Belinda. Hope you're feeling better. And that's the total encompassment of the other world and its machinations. I find it is a great world of, it's such a fight here in a minute. It's a great world of intelligence. It's a great world of potential for anything and everything. You take it, we're talking to the housing receptacle, if you like, of everything that ever was and is and can be. So when we've got the enormity of this potential for information, for expansion of our own understanding, that we go knocking at the door just saying, oh, well, I'll just send through the grannies so they can talk to their grandchildren. It's just like, really? Really? But also in doing that, do we hold ourselves back? Some of you know me, my first real love is when I'm working on a platform, my love is the philosophy. When I'm off the platform, my love is the education side of things. And again, I see there a lot, not all the time, a lot. People's perception of the other world is very limited. So therefore, is there wants, desires, or needs to be working with the other world as well? I always have a little wry smile when people say to me, "Oh, I want to be a medium." I often reply, "Oh, so you want to lose 40 out of the 52 Sundays of the year, miss family parties, birthdays, and funnily enough, not be wealthy at the end of it all." As I say again, we've got to keep teaching the mechanics of mediumship. And when I say the mechanics, I'm so sorry. I ate a coconut macaroon, and I should not have eaten it because I've just got bits of coconut. The mechanics of mediumship. And I'll talk about the mechanics of mediumship, the different abilities to quieten oneself down, to go to go into these states, to formulate links with the other world, to how to construct a message, how not to construct a message. And these are the mechanical processes. These are the things like when you're learning to drive a car. This is how you drive a car safely. This is what you do. You indicate, you do this, you do that, you do this. And we've got to teach that, obviously. But do we tend... Coconut macaroons are really unhealthy. Do we then tend to look, well, not even look over, what's the word I'm looking for? Overlook the reasoning behind evidential mediumship, why it's there, what it's there for, what's its purpose? Why should spirit come back and talk to us? We might be having a whale of a time. They might be out of, Studio 59. I might still be going up there. So, yeah, I think try that again. I think there is scope there to review our practices of development, of engaging with the other world primarily, and also engaging differently with people who may come to us looking for advice or in conversation, just doing this continual drip technique. It's a very, very difficult world we're navigating at the moment. Everybody, no matter where they are, what country we're in, we're all facing our challenges. Now, I have a theory. I have lots of little theories. I have lots of little thoughts running around my head all day long. It's chaos in there at times. But I have a theory, and a lot of people are saying that mediumship is changing. Well, I wonder, is mediumship changing? When they say mediumship is changing, is this alluding to the way the other world work with us? I think that's the crux of it. Or could we look at it and say our needs from the other world have changed? And the other world, just whatever, what you want is there. If you genuinely, earnestly need it, it's all there. So this perception that the other world have shifted and they're changing the way they work with us to lead us on to higher and better planes, I do have an issue with that sort of sentiment, because one of the things I always push in all of my development classes is that the power comes from you. Do not put your energy into talismans, objects, tools, people, tutors, the other world. Stop being so quick to hand over your power, because it's like this, there is almost this subconscious way, isn't there, of going, oh, well, and I've heard people say this exact phrase, and I tend to walk away. Oh, it's all right. I'll leave it up to spirit. They'll sort it all out for me. One day I'm going to be up there, and I'm going to hear somebody say that, and I won't tell you my response, but I tell you this, it's not going to be very polite. I always emphasize in everybody who comes my way with any sort of learning energy going on, everything starts and comes from you. Never ever give your power over. We've just finished a psychic course for 6 weeks, and that was fun. I really enjoyed that. I want to do another one. It was so, I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I did, and I didn't think I would see some of the results that we did. And I'm not bragging or boasting. It just works so well. And yeah, some of the things happening were just like, the students are going, oh, this is amazing. I'm going, what's amazing about it? You know, this is what we do. And I'm walking away going, my God. So in that, one of the exercises we did, we were working with mental distractions to allow the psychic side to come through. And one of the classic distraction techniques you can use is the ribbon reading. And again, every time we use any sort of tools, I would start off with the lecture, as somebody called it. Do not put your power into... Thank you, Trish. Thank you. Do not put your power into your tools. So your ribbons, your crystal ball, your cards, whatever, toenail clipping, I don't know. To me, they are a distraction. They are to keep the physical mind to one side. And then as I was talking, and most people took to this, and I thought, that's good. I'm really pleased that people have taken to this. Things like, we automatically program ourselves to a degree. And with some of the ribbons, obviously it's multicolored. And somebody said, oh, red ribbon, that means so-and-so. And I said, please don't do that. Because you've just programmed yourself now. Every time you see a red ribbon, it will mean that, what you've just said. There's now no room for negotiation or manoeuvring or growth, most importantly. Yeah, and again, we do, don't we? We keep throwing these little trip hazards in our development. And again, you know, it's so much about, it comes from you. You are the cornerstone of everything. The other world will work with you in the way that you wish to work with them. Now, how you achieve that standard, how you achieve that development is down to you, and it is down to you. Now, we're having quite a resurgence in the interest in trance mediumship. Partly due to this habit, that's a nice word, habit that we have of the illusion of handing it over to the other world and they will do all the talking. No, no, no. No, no, no. I'm sorry, no, stop it. Same with, there is some growing interest with physical mediumship as well. And again, because, all right, there are going to be some that want to develop it because somewhere in the twists and turns and the labyrinths of the mind, there's going to be, and I can make a lot of money from it. Well, I'm sorry to disillusion you all, but I don't know very many millionaire mediums. All right. But the one key factor for trance mediumship and most definitely physical mediumship is that you're going to have a really strong base chakra. They seem to go hand in hand. That base chakra is really prominent and really supportive. And this is what I say about it, comes back to you. Now, if you talking to somebody and they're saying, because I never say it's going to be impossible if I don't pick that up from people, but I'll say you're going to have to really work really, really hard. Because a lot of people just with this natural thing that their base chakra is just like a Belisha beacon, going off, and it's like, oh, that's interesting. Some people it isn't. And as I say, we can develop any type of mediumship we put our mind to and our heart to, but it's going to have to come from us. We are the ones that have got to do it. We cannot have this apathy about, oh, the spirit will show me. No. I mean, the spirit showed me a branch of mediumship and I wasn't really keen with it. What do I do then? Do I follow blindly and observantly because spirit has shown it to me? Or do I just go, oh, well, I'm going to give up being a medium and think I'll become a librarian? That'd be fun. I'd enjoy that. Yeah, it's got to come from us. We've got to work hand in hand with the other world. The other world is a world full of intelligence. And sorry, folks, we need to up our game sometimes when we work with them. And approach it intelligently, approach it with an intent. This is another thing I see sometimes that people don't do. I was called out once to a circle a few miles away from here. It's quite a few years ago. And they said, we need your help, we need your help. And I said, well, tell me what the problem is, and hopefully I can do it remotely. Oh, we've opened up a portal in the next door neighbour's living room. And I was just sat there thinking, I'm so glad I didn't just spend 45 minutes on the bus to go over there, because I wouldn't have been a happy bunny. And I'd spent the time with them, just gradually breaking down this thought process. Again, we're putting our power. Oh yeah, look what we've done. We've made a portal. Now the portal's responsible for everything that's going wrong. No, no. Where's it coming from? And little things like I said, well, so what's the purpose of the circle? Oh, we just get together. I said, so what do you do? Oh, we just bit of this, bit of that, just see how the mood takes. Some weeks we don't meet, and it's just like, I'm saying to them, this is the total lack of intent. If you don't know what you want, how the hell do you expect the spirit world to help you? Oh, they know everything. Yeah, they probably do, but they're not going to do it for you. Quick hello to everybody. Oh, Belinda, commenting. Thank you, darling. I feel mediumship and connecting with the spirit world is merely the tip of the cosmic iceberg. Oh, yeah. Yeah, very true. This is a big thing that's shifted in my perception over the last 18 months. This, how we meet with the other world. because again, I'm trying very much in my own language when I talk about my own development, not to do what I'm telling other people off for doing. How we go to the spirit. The spirit world's here. Hello. Hello. It's our language at times. And unfortunately, the mind is an incredibly powerful tool. And consciously or subconsciously, we pick up on some of our phraseology. My favourite one in classes and things is when people say, I can't do it. And I say, well, no, you can't now because you've just told yourself that, so you may as well sit down. And then people tend to get a little bit upset, really. And I said, if you tell yourself you can't do it, then you can't do it. But if you put your big girl pants on or big boy pants on and go, okay, that didn't work, let's try again, see what happens then. Because I always say we don't fail at things. I mean, this just not only applies to our spiritual development, also applies to life, the life that we're here to experience and live to its fullest. You know, we don't fail at things. We do things. The outcome may not be what we want or anticipate or expect. And from there, we bring in the, oh, I failed situation. You know, the aspiring medium, no matter what discipline they're working in, we've got to learn to deal with all of our experiences. You know, it's very nice to say, you know, every day I do positive affirmations and I keep this positive side and, you know, and I do all this and I do all that and tra-la-la-la-la. You know, life is made up of a variety of experiences. Some are to our taste and some are not. So again, we can do this in spiritualism. We can start to develop these mantras and disciplines that we've imposed upon ourselves, so that we can cut out that which doesn't appeal to us. So yeah, fear, upset, anger, a lot of that about at the moment. Instead of going, do you know what, this is all part of the same picture. This is all part and parcel of the painting that's me. And instead of going in on that emotional level and reacting with whatever the emotions are, if we can go in there more of as an observer, an impartial observer to the situations that are unfolding, and allow ourselves to, you know, take on board, again, unemotionally. I said something a little while back to somebody, and I know they did not like it in the slightest. It really stuck in their throat, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But I said, I am finding more and more in contacts with the other world a lack of emotions. Now, that can be provocative to some people, that statement. Because, of course, in a message, what do? They're here in love, they bring love, they're there to show their love. But that's fine in the message scenario. But outside of the message scenario, when you're in what are called staff meetings, that'd be nice. Go on, show the flash on the camera, if you wouldn't mind, please. That would be wonderful. I've just asked because at nights I get little blue lights coming in, so just ask very nicely. It would be nice to capture one on the camera. Let's wait and see. Thank you. Yeah, sometimes when I'm sat with the spirit, we can come across very unemotional. And at first, when I first felt this coming in, I wasn't very keen. I'll be honest. I was like, don't like this. Don't like this. But actually, as time's gone on, I'm beginning to understand when you don't act or react to anything on a level of emotion, We then act or react on a level of intelligence. That's quite a big step, because, our whole life is ruled by emotions. Everything, 98% of everything we do and say and react or propose has an emotional basis. So when you lose the emotion from it, it does bring in a very new perspective to things. It's very interesting. Anyway, getting back to where I was. Before the emotions. So where were we? In our development of, do we hold back the other world by going there with our shopping list, whether that be conscious or subconscious, it matters not. And how can we negate that? How can we start to push those boundaries? How do we say, okay, what else is coming through? What else is available? Or are we the ones who've got to instigate? That's right, that's what I was talking about, wasn't it? The resurgence in trance, and you'll get there in the end. The resurgence in trance and the physical mediumship. And people chasing these. And as I say, some people may find that quite easy because they've got that necessary energy. Other people are going to have to work really, really, really hard. And the other thing with mediumship is not all mediumship is demonstratable in front of others. Mediumship is just being in touch with the other world, is receiving that information, receiving that companionship and guidance. It's not demonstratable stuff. I like that. That's really interesting. Lovely Deborah. Hello, darling. And she's saying, I've done amazing readings for people lately, some sad ones too. Now, you're picking up on what I was saying about, I keep hearing mediums say this, that the other world are changing the way they work with us. But I don't think they are. I think our world, because of what we're going through, the way we're integrating with the other world is different. And they're going to respond however we approach them. So it's fascinating time to be in. Oh, hello. Lovely Marion. Hello, darling. Long time. Talk about physical mediumship, and there's a physical medium in the room. How strange is that? Lovely Marion is saying physical mediumship is fantastic when it works. When the right people sit, is vital to have the right harmony. I was happy to have sat and known the best physical mediums from the past. I learned a lot, and the experience had shaped my mediumship. Yeah. Do you know what, Marion? I know I'm going off track here, but that's fine. That's fine. There's no script. I haven't got a producer breathing down my neck. I've been watching that program, and I'm sure quite a few of you have. It's been on recently about the Helen Duncan with the Welsh reporter looking into it. Number one, I quite like her. This Sean, sorry, murdering a name. I like her because she's inquisitive. And she's got a bit of an open mind, and she examines things. I like that. I didn't hear her at all being, sneery. She went in sort of like sometimes on the case against and sometimes on the case for, but there was this openness about it, and I like that. But sorry, Marion, I am getting back to what you're saying there. I was watching the last episode today, and again, it just struck me again that spiritualism is an experience. And this is something we're never going to get over on the media. We're never going to get over it on radio and whatever. It is an experience. Now, Marion, very highly regarded physical medium. I've not seen Marion demonstrate. I've heard very many good accounts of times. But the times I have sat with physical mediums, yes, the phenomena is there. Phenomenon. Sorry. Yes, the phenomena is there. Yes, I have seen hands like this. Hands. I have seen not overshadowing of the medium, but true transfiguration where the face actually does change. Not a mask in front, the face changed. And I've seen a variety of other things that I could not explain. All the times I've been in those environments, the very atmosphere in the room changes. It's so hard to explain, but the real atmosphere. I had a very similar experience. Now, it came out as a bit of a side shot, and I thought, oh, I like this. We were doing some work with the spiritists from Brazil. Now, their mediumship, their approach to mediumship is totally different to ours. It's not standing on a platform saying, I've got your mother here. It's not like that at all. They do a lot of what we would have called in the old days rescue circles. Now, when I was growing up in spiritualism and I came along rescue circles, I was always a little bit doubtful because I like my evidence. Sorry, I do. I like my evidence. And the other world know that as well. They've been marvellous at giving me little bits. And I was always like, is this a bit of a flight of fancy? For those out there may not know what the rescue circle work is because you don't hear it so much nowadays. Again, it's it's a bit of a byproduct of the bad language that we use, and I don't mean rude language, I mean the bad choice of words, because people talk about spirits being trapped. You know what, that to me is a huge no-no. I cannot see a spirit being trapped. I'm sorry, I just don't get it. I don't think it's feasible. I don't think it's possible. I think very much that I've come across spirit who's just been damned angry about passing over and are still here because they're still angry and they don't want to move on. Likewise, I come across spirit who don't want to move on because they're really happy. They always love their house and they're not ready to leave their house yet. This word trapped, I just find the connotations from that a little bit disturbing. But anyway, their mediumship has a lot to do with like educational for the spirit world. I like that phrasing, educational for the spirit world. And we had a wonderful talk here at the church, and then afterwards they were doing healing, and that was a real experience, the way they do their healing. That was, I like this, it's different. And then they were going to do mediumship. And of course, I'm sat there as the Westerner thinking, you know, he's going to get up and start making connections and placing them. But it wasn't, because what was going on, they were talking to people, spirit, who, again, I can't use this word trap because it just goes against my very grain. Spirit that were not moving on, spirit that were keeping themselves in a state of turmoil and upset. And I can see that. I can see that happening with people. And trying to enlighten and help and move on. So when it started, I was sat there thinking, I'm not sure about this. Well, should have kept my big mouth shut, shouldn't I? Because the other world went, so you think this is rubbish, do you? Sit there, hold on to your hat. I made a contact with a young gentleman who was from the slums of Brazil. Now, Brazil, when we see all the photos, it's, you know, Sugarloaf Mountain and everything. All looks absolutely wonderful in that valley. Come down the hills on the other side and it's totally different story. So he originated from there, got involved in the gangs, got involved in drugs, you know, passed through violence. was in a poor state on the other side. Now, as the medium's relaying this and through an interpreter, I'm sat there and the atmosphere in the room just drops. And it was one of the worst atmospheres I've ever sat in. I felt physically sick. I felt cold. I felt nauseous. I felt and I was like, I'm going to get out of this because I really am not. I'm going to faint or pass out or have an accident. I don't know what, but if I don't get out of this atmosphere. Anyway, as I was thinking that communication finished. Went on to the next one and it all lifted again. And I went, that's interesting. But then at the end, the guide was talking through the medium who'd taken the evening, his trance guide. And he turned and said, and to Lawrence, we offer our sincerest apologies. We didn't realise you were quite that sensitive, but you asked for a lesson. And I just sat there and I thought, you rotten buggers. I did. I asked for it. But yeah, getting back to this point and picking up then again with the lovely Marian's comment there. You know, it's getting over to people. We can sit here and talk about circles. We can sit here and talk about Dems. We can sit here and talk about the pioneers. It's secondhand information now. It's interesting. There is stuff of interest there. There is the educational side. Get off. There is the educational side where we can learn from previous experiences. But to actually, we can't relive that experience. And as I say, to me, same with trance. I feel that energy. When we have a medium here at the church for the Sunday service, I know if they're going to do a trance address, because in the morning I am just like, I've had 14 strong black coffees. I'm just buzzing. And it took about 3 instances for me to realise, that's what's going on. You know, and you feel it. Not only do I feel it, the congregation feels it as well. It's marvellous to observe. When you get a really good exponent and they're delivering this wonderful form of communication in trance, I guarantee you 95% of the church are sat there with their eyes closed, taking it in. Because that's the environment, that's the atmosphere that's generated. So yeah, as I say, spiritualism is an experience. And going back to the media side, you know, we're going to have reports of, like this Helen Duncan thing. There's going to be reporting on for and against. As I said, I did like her because she was inquisitive about things, and I thought that's really needed, because if you've been given it the high hand, oh well, yes, of course, you know, that would have been it. It would have blown it out of the water. But she was genuinely inquisitive and genuinely surprised and genuinely thoughtful about it. But still, we need that experience of these things. So thank you, darling Marian. So, lovely. Somebody inquiring. Veronica, hi Lawrence, just came to your page, see you have on in the morning and saw you live. How are you? Wonderful. Thank you, Veronica. Yes, we are. We are live tomorrow. Mothering Sunday gathering. It's not going to be a divine service. It's going to be a happening. It'll be fun. Anyway, so lovely to see you, Veronica. Lovely Belinda. Taking the ego out of the situation gives us something realistic to work with. Very true. We need ego to get on a platform, though. You need that ego to get up on a platform. It's when the ego becomes egotistical. That's when it goes horribly wrong. But you need a certain amount. My background is running bars, clubs, hotels, restaurants. So my formative years were spent very much being the front man for things, and that's in my personality and to suit my personality. So working as a medium, working as a chairman, a demonstrator, a lecturer, a teacher, whatever, I rely and draw on that. But that's an ego energy, but it's not egotistical. It doesn't, it's not all about me. I know I have certain ability. I know I've got things I can't. See, look, I've just done it myself. How easy it is we do this. Tell ourselves we can't do something. Yeah. Some things at this time I would find challenging. But yeah, it is egotistical. And I think, where a lot of people fall foul of that energy is when they treat every demonstration as an opportunity to be the wow factor. I've seen mediums take messages sort of like they get their teeth into it and it becomes a bit personal, but not in a good way. They'll stand there and just really sort of like really bully the sitter into taking what they're giving. They'll walk away going, yeah, that was great. And you just think, you should have been sat where I was. That was pretty scary. So, yeah, it's having that right amount of ego to be able to stand there, to demonstrate, to hold your own in front of people whilst working with the other world as well. But when that ego becomes the dominating factor and the ego becomes egotistical, that's when we see some of the things that we decry within our movement at this time. Going off subjects. That's right, Deborah. We haven't got a subject really, but we'll see what happens. I saw Colin Fry going into trance. Not sure how I felt about it, but it was interesting. That's a nice comment, actually. And again, is that supporting what I was just saying about, spiritualism should be regarded more of an experience, and especially when we're getting into the altered states. Mark Stone, I love him. His trance work, it's just so natural, so blended, and so smooth, the transition. It's absolutely wonderful. And there have been a couple of occasions where it's been a bit which just to me proves the authenticity of it. But sitting there, I'll often sit next to him as the added battery or whatever. But even just before he opens his mouth or anything, I'm very much aware of the guide introducing and saying good evening, but he's not coming from Mark. And I love that. I just think, oh, hello. That's so nice. It's wonderful when that happens. But again, it's experience. Lovely Jeanette. You're loving this. Wonderful. Saw your dem advertised coming up. That'd be good. Yeah, that would be wonderful. So, oh, right, this is where Veronica came in. So absolutely not trapped. Totally get the idea that rescue mediumship is medium's experience and memory of the spirit passing, but from their own ego perspective. I like that. I do like that. That actually makes a lot of sense to me. And again, sometimes this ego perspective can sometimes be an unconscious thing. I'm not saying everybody who purports to be a rescue medium is an egotistical maniac by any means. Some are, but not all of them. But yeah, from a lack of understanding view. Because again, a lot of our training is repeated generation to generation. Sometimes it comes like Chinese whispers. Sometimes things are handed down and they're never challenged. And I don't mean rip everything, rip up the rule book and start again, but I do mean looking at certain practices, certain thoughts, observances. I'll tell you one that was demonstrated here about a month ago, and I thought, that's interesting. Old school mediums, there's a few of them. If they were working with somebody in a congregation and somebody had to get up and have a wee or whatever, if they walked in front of them, between them and the sitter, they would go mental. They would absolutely hit the roof, saying you've broken the link. And I saw that happen on a number of occasions and a number of places. That was a real hard and fast rule. But now we're looking more and trying to pull apart and go and recognizing what is psychic work, and nothing wrong with psychic work as long as you're honest about it, and nothing wrong with being a medium as long as you're honest about it. Where we're looking more at psychic work, one of our local mediums was working, and a lady had to leave, and this happened. And she walked in front, and I was sort of like on the edge of my chair, waiting to calm the medium down, and she didn't bat an eyelid. She just carried on. And I said to her afterwards, I said, "Oh, well done for, not letting that put you off." She went, "No," she said, "I was so involved with the spirit world," she said, "I hardly noticed it." And I thought, oh, this is interesting. Does that mean then, when these people used to kick off going back in the day about you broken the link, does that mean that you were actually working psychically and working with the energy of the sitter and not with the energy of the spirit world? Fascinating. And this is what I mean, sometimes we hand things down. Number one, what suits me is not going to suit Deborah. And what suits Deborah isn't going to suit Jeanette. That's fine. But we don't look at things and just try and understand and look at it from a different angle and things. Lovely Veronica, when we pick up on the turmoil, etc., we're picking up on the memory of their experience. Yeah, really. And this is the thing I like with the spiritists, because that is what they set out to do. This is how they work. And as I said, that one experience I had of it here, when I such an idiot to myself, thinking, oh, well, unless there's the evidence there, the next thing I'm feeling like, I don't know, I'm just about to go and join him, quite frankly. I felt so awful. Yeah. And again, actually, in a lovely way, Veronica, thank you for that. That again brings in exactly what I was just talking about. We get handed down stuff over the years, and we don't take the time to actually look at it and take it apart. And as I said, not in a destructive way. Everybody can be destructive and say, oh, that's rubbish, doesn't work. But you've got to replace it with something with equal, if not greater value. That's where it falls down. So, yeah, that is a really, really interesting observation. And that makes perfect sense to me when we talk about rescue work. And even the wordage of it, rescue, again, it implies that somebody is in desperate peril and they need rescue. They may not want rescuing. I've been in a spirit that's quite happy in a house and doesn't want to move on. I'd stay in here, thank you very much. I thought, okay, I'll leave you alone then. So, yeah. Darren, you right, buddy? Hi, Laurie. Could it be some spirit and not so much trapped, but caught in an emotional tie in which makes moving on difficult? Very much so. Very, very much so. There can be all sorts of reasons, from stubbornness. I'm going to be a stubborn spirit. I know that. I don't know what's going to go on, but I'm going to be really stubborn. Yeah, it can be through stubbornness. As I said, there was this one lady in the house, and she didn't want to move on because she understood that she passed over, and she had a few comments about the people now living in her house. because it was her house, not theirs. It's still hers. She was quite amicable with them, which was quite good, handy. Yeah, so it could be any number of things. That scene in Ghost is quite interesting. You know, some of these films, I'm pretty sure that people have actually done some investigation into the other world. Because that scene in Ghost about the one on the subway, you know, it was never intimated that he was trapped, that he just didn't want to move. He was, you know, I'm here, this is where I'm state, but he could, when he flipped at the end, it was indicative that the truth was there and he didn't want to hear, he wasn't ready to hear the truth. He didn't want to hear the truth. He didn't want to accept that, so he'd run away from it. And yeah, I can get that as well. Very interesting. Yes, Veronica. Thank you for the list. They're wonderful. Leslie Thomas, when serving spirit with communication, my team and I let spirit come forward for the proof and evidence they give and the reason for coming. However, if the communicator becomes emotional and the medium is very sensitive, it does affect the medium. So I always remember we have to have I always remember we have to have an extent, discipline, control, and personal responsibility to detach from that. Always give 100% genuine intent and respect with unconditional love. Yep, most definitely. The emotions, though, sometimes can catch us off guard a bit, can't they? I often say, you know, when I'm demonstrating, I say, you know, when spirits say they love you, they're not stood there whispering in my ear, I'll tell them I love them. I said, we're going through this whole gamut of emotions. There was a it's probably about 8-10 months ago now. And it was a young girl who came through for a lady. That was an emotional one. That was, I had to pause and pull myself back together again, because that was, but actually thinking about that, that was probably more because of the reaction from the mum than it was from the spirit side. So that's interesting. That's made me think about something. I wasn't getting overwhelmed so much by the emotion from the little girl. It was the whole scenario, the story, everything about it, the mum being there, the mum's reaction to it. It was just like, wow. And again, this is the experience side, because there was a dry eye in the church that afternoon. But yeah, we do have a duty not to mess around with what the other world give us. Go there with the best and highest intent always, not to serve self, to serve spirit. Not get cocky. Not to expect to get paid fortune for a divine service. Wonderful. Thank you, Leslie. Sorry, I've neglected the input here. Leslie again, I think we all have a little ego to get on a platform. However, it's when some put themselves on that pedestal, it's a look at me, I'm the best. Yeah, that's what I say. That backs up the ego side. We got to have ego, but it's when it becomes egotistical is when the issues arise. Veronica, I've done quite a lot of rescue mediumship, and it was only looking at his experiences as a memory that it seemed to fit into place. Interesting. Thank you. Yeah. So, and if we accept there is no time in spirit, then memories to us are current now for spirit, as time is all now. Yeah. That makes sense. Where are we? And also, are we really saying that we mortals are more able to help spirit than spirit themselves? Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting slant on that. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, that does raise quite a question, doesn't it? The perception. And again, I go back to my original statement about I don't see any spirit being trapped or any form of restraint or bound. So, in that same thinking, it would only be logical to say that I cannot see any spirit being forced or coerced into doing something, i.e., moving on, if they weren't ready to. Because if I accept one, I've got to accept the other. I can't, that's not a thing I can cherry pick, and I wouldn't, because I'm fascinated by that. That fits in with this understanding that I've developed that, people say, oh, well, when you pass over, there's always somebody to meet you. I don't know if there is. There may be people there. Whether they are known to you when you actually pass over, I don't know. I don't know, because the spirit world understands, the spirit world knows. And if somebody's passing over and they're not ready to move on, they're not ready to accept, I suppose these ones that are angry that they're past, they're not accepting, they're still fighting this thought that they've given up this physical life. Because don't forget, we're living this physical life for a very, very long time, and it's not going to disappear. We've got to have that time to sort of move on our physical way of thinking. Oh, this is fascinating. Yeah, I like this. So, yeah, there are going to be spirit who's not going to move on. Now, whether there is somebody, what we would call physically, not physically, but spiritually there, ready to meet them and take them on to somewhere, I don't know. I really don't know. I doubt that. Because we're all going to pass differently. Every form of grief we feel is going to be different for each person. Every time that we every time we pass over, look out, we're going down the reincarnation route now. No, we're not going there. Whenever we pass over, what is our level of understanding, acceptance? Really old book, 1792, and it's the account of a spirit moving on after passing over, and he spent almost what felt like an eternity, that's his wordage, of sitting there going, well, I'm dead. But it wasn't until the realization of going, okay, I know I'm dead, but I'm still thinking, so what's going on? And the minute that thought came in, then the potential for advancement came in hand with it. They just sat there for ages going, I'm dead. Nothing. I'm dead. I'm dead. Which is really interesting, isn't it? I do have a guest next week. I've got the lovely Elizabeth Titterton with us next week, and the week after that we have the wonderful Frederick coming in. And we'll be getting more guests coming in on the Lyceums. I hate asking people for things. This is why we don't get many guests, because I really hate asking. I've got to put the big boy pants on and go and ask people. Because somebody said to me, all right, you're asking people to come on with you, but they can say yes or no. And they're saying yes because they enjoy it. And I thought, I hadn't thought of that. Okay. Deborah, I would love my daughter to come through more for me. The only thing she said to me is mum. And you were so happy to hear that. Yeah. Yeah, bless you. Again, this very common question asked is why certain people don't make connections with us, or don't come through, or don't talk to us. And that's, I haven't got the answer. I've got a few ideas, but I haven't got the answer. And I don't think there is the answer. I think, again, case by case. I do have a fairly strong opinion that this dialogue, this intercourse between the two worlds is more readily achievable and available once both sides have reached a certain point in that path of grieving, of letting go, of understanding. Please, Deborah, I'm not pointing this at you. This is just a thought coming in from your comment there. Yeah, because that grief path is just such a minefield. Really is. We've got the 7 stages of grief. Well, that's all nice and clinical, isn't it? It doesn't always follow that. And sometimes we go from step 1 to step 2 to step 5 to back to step 1, sit there for about 10. It's a really difficult path to navigate. That's part of the reason. This is only my theory. I tell you what supports that. First time I saw it, I'm like, why are you doing this? This is interesting. And it was a husband for a wife, but he showed himself sat 1 seat away. And I'm like, how the hell do I interpret that? Tell me. And he didn't. Okay. But the minute I'd started speaking with the wife, and the minute I'd described this gentleman, that was it. The emotions, the floodgates, and everything came in really, really strongly. So afterwards, I'm thinking, so why was he 1 seat away? And the conclusion I've come to by talking to other mediums and talking with the other world is because we are emotional beings. Sometimes spirit find it difficult to draw close to us because our emotions are so and this gentleman did by sitting that 1 seat away, I found very interesting, very useful as well, because I've had it with other sittings where I feel that distance between them and the communicator, although I know there wasn't one on the earth. And it's indicative then that there is still this healing going on. There's still this process of acceptance and healing on both sides of the veil. So yeah, thoughts out to you, Deb. Bless you. Anyway, everybody, thank you. I hope you've found something in there to have a think about. I've enjoyed that. I should go back through it. I don't think we had any blue flashes. That's a shame. Oh, come on, guys. Please. Yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to next week, catching up with the lovely lady. In the meantime, yeah, we will be streaming from the church tomorrow. So if you want to join in, please do. It's not a divine service. It's a Mother's Day celebration. There's myself, Roy McKay. It's going to be very spontaneous in parts. I don't know if you've seen the photos flying about. It's all laid up looking pucker. So it's a nice community day. So yeah, looking forward to that. Not looking forward to tomorrow afternoon doing all the clearing up, but never mind. So yeah. Thank you, everybody, and thank you anybody watching this in the future. Welcome. Have a wonderful evening, and with any luck, we're going to have some good weather. And you know what? I'm going to do it, but it does annoy me because tonight everybody is saying, don't forget the clocks, don't forget the clocks, don't forget the clocks. And I keep thinking, I'm not 10, I'm not 10, I'm not 10. But don't forget the clocks. Have a wonderful night, everybody. Good night.